Hi everyone, let's go ahead and get started with today's concept. Today is day 2 with graphing square root functions. Now, if you have not watched day 1, please go back and watch that to understand what an actual square root function is. All right, let's go ahead and get started. So we are again starting with setting our radicand equal to 0, 1, 4, and 9. And we chose these values because these values are perfect squares. Right? The square root of 0 is 0, the square root of 1 is 1, square root of 4 is 2, and the square root of 9 is 3. These are going to help us set up the x values of our table. When we graph and draw this, remember there is only going to be one arrow on our coordinate plane. A square root function typically starts at 0, 0, shoots off to the right with a slight increase. Okay? All right, let's go ahead and get started on this one. So I am going to take the value that is the radicand. That means the number underneath the radical, nothing outside. So just the number underneath the radical, and I'm going to set it equal to 0. So I have x plus 5 is equal to 0. I'm also going to set it equal to 1, and I'm going to set it equal to 4 and to 9. So you may ask, where did I get those 4 values from? Those 4 values came from this box that we wrote right up here. Again, those are our perfect square values. All right, so let's go ahead now then and think about what x would equal. Well, in this case, I'm going to subtract 5 from this side, subtract 5 from this side. So when I do that, I get x equals -5. Then here, I'm going to subtract 5 from this side, and I'm going to subtract 5 from this side. So 1 minus 5 makes -4. Subtract 5 from this side and from this side. So 4 minus 5 gives me -1. I'm going to subtract 5 from this side and 5 from that side. So 9 minus 5 gives me 4. Great. So now I have my input values. Now I have what x should equal. So now I've got to find out what y is. So I'm going to take each of those x values and I'm going to replace them in the equation. I'm going to replace x with those values. Okay, so I'm going to have g of -5, and that is going to give me radical -5 plus 5, and then there's a -7 outside the radical. Okay, and now I've got the square root of 0, because -5 plus 5 is 0, and then -7. That gives me 0, because the square root of 0 is 0, minus 7, which gives me -7. That's the y value on that one. All right, let's go ahead and do that again. This time we're going to plug in -4. So I have -4 plus 5 underneath the radical, and then we're going to subtract off 7. So I will have radical 1 minus 7 is equal to 1 minus 7, and that gives me -6. Let's do that again with -1. So -1 plus 5, and then subtract off 7. So radical 4 minus 7 is equal to 2 minus 7. So why 2 this time? Because the square root of 4 is 2. Okay, so then I have 2 minus 7 gives me -5. And then the last one, we are going to do g of 4. And that is going to give me radical 9, then minus 7, which is equal to 3 minus 7, which is equal to -4. Okay, let's go ahead and plot those values on the coordinate plane. So I have -5, -7, -4, -6, -1, -5, and 4, -4. right? When I graphed this, remember that when we graph this, our starting point is in the center, or the beginning. I shouldn't say it's in the center because it's been transformed. So it's the beginning, and then there's an arrow off to the right side.